If you hear meowing in the background, please ignore it. It is Magnus wanting dinner an entire hour before dinner time. I'm vlogging! It took me that long. Right outside. Subtubers, and welcome back to my channel. This week we're diving back into Middle Earth again. Not intentional. I didn't actually plot to put my Lord of the Rings characters one after another, but the characters I was gonna do, I haven't watched the show they're involved in a while, and I haven't been able to research enough where I feel comfortable yet. So I decided to pick different characters to do for my last 3 character reviews of the year. And this week we have my very first elven character, Gaernith of Rohan. Much like last week, I am going to link my source to all things Middle Earth down in the description below to give you a proper idea of what Lord of the Rings is, if you happen to have been living under a rock and don't know. Also, like last week with Zara's name, there are probably 1.5 million ways to pronounce Gaernith's name, so feel free to pronounce it how you please. I myself pronounced it at least 3 different ways since I created her, finally settling on Gaernith, and that's because that's my preference. So let's get on with Gaernith. Unlike Zara, Gaernith was completely intentional. She's also the only character not in all the movies she's written around, but we'll discuss that later on. As you can see from looking at Gaernith, she is an elf. I hadn't intended to make an elf character, but none of the other races really fit for the idea that I planned out, and that idea was to take a deeper look into the realm of Rohan. I know we spent an entire movie revolving around Rohan and everything they go through, but I wanted to go a bit more in depth, take a closer look at what led to Theodred's death, how Theoden became ensnared in Saruman's hold, all of that. I wanted to place my own character in there and see how things could turn out differently. I decided on an elf because, one, I'd never explored the race before. I've made humans and dwarves and hobbits, but I've never made elves, strangely enough. And also, strangely enough, I find them the easiest to work with. I don't know if it's because there are so many different branches of their race, or because even within each branch they can be so different, but creating Gaernith was a lot of fun and almost too easy. But I did obviously still have some complications creating her. This is me and one of my characters we're talking about. When I finally had Gaernith all created, I sat down to decide just what it was that was going to be the major change in having her in. Now, Gaernith came many years after Zara, so I'm much more comfortable with changing things with her than I was with Zara. So when I sit down now to create a character, I decide what it is I'm going to change about that character instead of just flying willy-nilly and letting what happens, although that still happens, but not in quite the same way. And that's when it hit me. As we all know, elves have healing magics, and Gaernith is no different. She spends a good number of years within Rivendell learning how to master her healing magic before returning to Rohan. And with that magic, she saves Theodred's life. For those who don't know, Theodred is the son of Theoden, king of Rohan. He dies very early in the second movie, and his death is hard for everyone who knew him. Now, I didn't take out him getting hurt or the severity of his injuries. I just tweaked it so that there is someone there who has the knowledge and power to keep Theodred from passing on. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of Gaernith's strength, but she has her reasons, mainly that she's in love with him and he with her. That wasn't planned. It just happened. The thing to know about Gaernith is she was raised by Theoden. She's not his child, not by blood, but he did find her when she was just an elfling, covered in blood and abandoned, and instead of giving her back to the elves and possibly the ones who tried to end her life, he takes her to Edoras and raises her with his son, his niece, and his nephew. And while most think of Gaernith and Theodred as siblings because they were raised together, they were raised by the same person, The feelings they share are much deeper and in no way platonic, but it's that connection that saves the prince's life. The easiest part of writing Gaernith is her empathy. Because she's an elf, she's very attuned not only to her own feelings, but those around her. I'm very much the same way. I always seem to know what's bothering someone, or if something's bothering someone, even if they try to hide it. And because I'm me, I press until they share. Or that they tell me that they can't share, that it's not something that's theirs to share. Gaernith is just like that. She won't let someone suffer if it's within her power to help them. Whether it's a listening ear or a shoulder to lean on, it doesn't matter. She will do anything for those in any type of pain, as long as she can help them. And if she herself can't help them, she will find someone who can. The hardest part of writing Gaernith is her relationship, but that's mainly because we hardly see anything of Theodred, so we really don't know how he acts or what type of person he is. I find myself basing him off of what we see of Theoden, figuring he's probably a lot like his father, but I also try and add some of Eomer, his cousin's influence in there, since they do spend quite a lot of time together. It's strange for me to base a character off those around them instead of their own personality, and I'm finding it a lot trickier to write than anything I have before, especially since it's not my own character, it's someone else's character, and obviously there's only so much tweaking I can do to it. Best memories for Gaernith always revolve around Theodred, whether they're enjoying a private moment together, out riding or hunting, or even just working together to keep their people, to help their people and their kingdom. The bond the two has is so seamless and fluid, not to say they don't have their problems, because they do. I mean, she's an elf, he's a human. He's in line for the throne. She's an elf. But they always make the best of any situation they're in, and it leads to a lot of happy, joyful memories for Gaernith to look back on. Worst memory is tied with Theodred returning to Edoras on the edge of death and finding out about Theoden dying in Return of the King. For so long, Theoden has been her father. He was the man who saved her and raised her as his own. He brought an elf into his human kingdom with no care of what other people were going to think. So to lose him, even if it was with the honor of dying in battle, it breaks Gaernith's heart to know he's gone. And Theodred, as I said, is the love of Gaernith's life. The idea that she might have to say goodbye to him, that she might not have the power to save him, is overwhelming. It almost prevents her from being able to use her magic at all. Thankfully, Eowyn, Theodred's other cousin, is there to help her keep her focus and to do what's needed to save Theodred's life. But that moment when she sees how severely injured he is and knowing his life is in her hands, depending on her skills, it causes nightmares for many years to come, which is completely understandable. As I said earlier, Gaernith is the only Middle-earth character that isn't in all the movies she's written around. And there's two reasons for that. One, there's no representation of Rohan at the meeting to decide the fate of the ring. Therefore, there's no way for me to put her into things earlier than the second movie. And two, because I wanted her as close to Theodred as she could be when he's injured, ensuring it wouldn't be too much outside the realm of possibility for her to save him. If she were traveling with the Fellowship, there's no way she could have made it back to Edoras to save his life. And that's kind of the big event that changes with her addition, so it didn't make sense to make it seem impossible. Not to mention, there's no real way that she would have known he was in danger of dying if she had been with the Fellowship. So, you know. Gaernith is not finished yet. I've got some polishing to do on her stories and figuring out what her ending will be. But her journey is definitely different from Zara's, and that makes me happy. I always strive for my characters that are within the same worlds to have stories that are as different from each other as possible. Otherwise, it's the same old thing, but with a new name. And that is never what you want when you're doing multiple characters in the same universe. Unless you're purposefully crossing them over, like you're doing like time travel or something. But if that's not your goal, then you want to be as careful as possible to make sure that their storylines aren't identical. And that is our character breakdown for Gaernith of Rohan. Let me know down in the comments below what you think. Who did you prefer, Zara or Gaernith? We got a bit more on Zara because she's actually written and finished and posted, and I haven't gotten there yet with Gaernith, but I'll get there. Hopefully by my birthday, I'll have finished and posted her. Fingers crossed. As always, all of my social media handles will be down in the description below, along with my blog if you want to read the post that goes along with this video. Don't forget to hit the like button if you did enjoy the video. It means the world to me to know you guys like my videos and that you like the content I'm giving you. Don't forget, if you haven't yet, to hit that subscribe button. I love having new subscribers. I love knowing you guys enjoy my work. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell, setting your options to all for your notifications, not just for mine, but for everyone you follow, so you always get a notification whenever any of us upload. And I will see you guys in next week's video.